From hunger to hope. Reflecting on Nigeria's journey since Ebimpower by Idowu, Ephraim, Faleye. Ebimpower, that expression, "we are hungry," wasn't just a complaint 2 years ago. It was a cry from the soul of a nation. It echoed from Lagos to Kano, Port Harcourt to Maiduguri. You didn't need a microphone to hear it. It was in the faces of mothers at the market, fathers at the bus stops, young men on the streets, and children waiting for meals that never came. It became the anthem of pain, the chorus of a people grappling with the shock of sweeping reforms introduced by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in his very first week in office. Nigeria was in turmoil, not because the policies were necessarily wrong, but because their timing hit a society already living on the edge. So the question we now face 2 years later is both urgent and fair. Are we still that hungry? Back in May 2023, when Tinubu took the reins of power, the foundation of the Nigerian economy was cracked. No, not cracked, shattered. The nation was drowning in debt, most of it incurred not for building railways or factories, but for paying salaries, maintaining a fuel subsidy that lined the pocket of the rich, and defending an artificial exchange rate that stifled growth. What the new president inherited was more than a moribund economy. It was a ticking time bomb. Oil had already been sold forward, meaning Nigeria was effectively broke. There was no money coming in from crude exports, a primary source of income, because it had been mortgaged in advance. The previous administration of Buhari had quietly printed money, devaluing the naira without the courtesy of telling the public. But Tinubu couldn't cry foul too loudly. Some of those who caused this mess were his political allies. He could have chosen the path of least resistance, the usual Nigerian way. Kick the can down the road and pretend everything was fine. But he didn't. In one of the boldest opening acts in Nigerian political history, he removed the fuel subsidy. Suddenly, the price of fuel tripled. Transporters raised fares. Traders hiked prices. Even sachet water vendors felt the pinch. The people who were already struggling now felt like they were suffocating. The frustration was real, and so was the anger. Social media went ablaze. Protest flared. Opposition voices got louder. Ebimpower, they cried, and rightly too. But that wasn't the end of the storm. Next came the unification of the exchange rate. Nigeria had operated a dual rate system for years. One for the privileged few who accessed dollars at official rates, and another for the rest of us who scrambled for forex in the black market. It was a system ripe for corruption, creating billionaires overnight while choking real businesses. By merging the rates, Tinubu wiped away a major incentive for fraud. It wasn't smooth. It never is. The naira plunged. The cost of imported goods spiked. But this was the price of honesty, of facing the truth about how things really were. So, yes, we were hungry, but that hunger wasn't just about food. It was about the pain that comes with correction, the sting of necessary surgery. The old system was bleeding us dry, and for once, someone decided to stitch the wound instead of just covering it up with another bandage. Fast forward 2 years, and the picture is beginning to shift. No, it's not yet paradise. Inflation is still biting. Prices of rice and garri still bring tears to the eyes. But compared to the chaos of 2023, we are not where we used to be. Take a closer look, not with emotions, but with the eyes of understanding, and the signs of progress become clear. Today, Nigeria has exited the IMF debtors list. That's not just a statistic. It's proof that we are no longer borrowing just to survive. The Tinubu administration cleared a $1.61 billion debt and restored Nigeria's credibility on the global stage. Foreign investors are watching, and they are starting to return. The stock market is booming. When he took over, the all-share index stood at 55,738 points. Now, it's over 103,000. Market capitalization capitalization has crossed 63 trillion naira. That's not magic. It's investor confidence fueled by clearer, bolder policies. And what about infrastructure? The fuel subsidy money is no longer going into the pocket of oil marketers. It's now being used to build things we can see: roads, rail lines, and power projects that matter to everyday life. The Renewed Hope Infrastructure Fund is not just a slogan, it's real. The foundations are being laid for a stronger, more connected Nigeria. Tinubu's federal government has embarked on major road construction and rehabilitation projects across all geopolitical zones, from the Abuja-Kaduna-Zaria-Kano dual carriageway, the 9th Mile Oturupu-Makurdi Road, the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, Abuja-Lokoja-Benin Road, Enugu-Onisha Expressway, Oyo-Ogbomosho Road, Sokoto-Badagry Road, Enugu-Port Harcourt Expressway, 2nd Niger Bridge Access Road to Bodo Bonny Road, among hundreds of ongoing road projects across the country. Let's talk food. Yes, hunger still exists, but the grip of the grain cartels, those faceless hoarders who manipulated scarcity for profit, has been broken. When the price of rice soared beyond 100,000 naira, Tinubu's team didn't just watch. They acted. Tariffs on food imports were suspended. Mechanized farming equipment were imported from the US, Brazil, and Belarus. Local farmers received incentives. Gradually, food production is rising. The goal is clear. Nigeria must feed itself. The youth have not been left out. From the Skill Up Artisans program to the National Youth Talent Export Initiative, young Nigerians are being prepared to compete globally. NYSC members now earn 77,000 naira, up from 33,000 naira. That's not just a raise, it's dignity restored. And for those struggling with tuition, the student loan scheme now offers real hope. No one should drop out because they can't afford fees. And that's the message this administration is sending. Even the average Nigerian can now dream of owning appliances or even a car through the Consumer Credit Corporation. Over 200,000 billion naira has been set aside so that ordinary citizens can buy goods and pay overtime. For a country where cash and carry was once the only way, this is revolutionary. Security is still a challenge, yes, but there is a movement forward. The military has been better equipped. Interagency coordination has improved. Kidnappings haven't disappeared, but many sleeper cells have been dismantled. The approach is shifting, not just guns, but intelligence and strategy. Revenue? In just 6 months of 2024, government revenue rose by 9.1 trillion naira. That's more than double what we had in the same period the year before. And for the first time, all 3 levels of government, federal, state, and local, are receiving steady increased allocations. That means more power to the grassroots, where change is most visible. Wages have gone up too. The new national minimum wage stands at 70,000 naira. Not everyone in the informal sector is feeling it yet, but it's a signal that this government recognizes the dignity of labor and is ready to walk the talk. Still, let's not pretend that all is well. Many Nigerians are tired. The pain of the past 2 years is real. Prices are still high. The naira still needs more stability, and the wounds from the fuel subsidy removal are still fresh in many homes. But transformation is never painless. It comes with dislocation. It requires sacrifice, and it demands patience. What Nigeria is undergoing is not just a reform. It's a full-blown economic reset. We've moved from illusion to reality, from quick fixes to long-term solutions. It hurts now, but it heals later. And so we return to that haunting slogan, "A being power." Are we still hungry? Not in the same way. We are no longer hungry because of hopelessness. We are hungry because we're in transition. We are adjusting. We are healing. And we are learning to live in a system that finally tells the truth. The hunger of 2023 was panic, confusion in the face of sudden change. The hunger of 2025 is different. It is the hunger of a nation finding its feet, discovering its strength, and realizing that growth is a process, But processes need time. Buildings need completion. Foundations need walls and roofs. We cannot afford to abandon the journey at halftime. President Tinubu has started something bold, something rare in our history. He didn't play to the gallery. He played for the future. Now that we see the first fruit, do we go back to the same policies that brought us to the brink, or do we press on? Let's be honest with ourselves. For any meaningful reform to succeed, continuity is key. Interrupting this process in 2027 will be like removing a doctor halfway through a surgery and expecting a miracle. Nigeria cannot afford to go back to subsidy games, dual exchange rate, and lazy borrowing. The path is tough, yes, but it's also clear, and with Tinubu at the wheels, the destination is visible. So, no, we are not as hungry as we were. We are still hungry, but now with hope, with direction, and with purpose. We are no longer lost. We are no longer blind. We know where we are going. And if we truly want to see the end of this hunger, not just a temporary fix, but a lasting solution, then we must let this government finish what it started. Come 2027, we must not change direction for the sake of change. We must hold on to the one leadership bold enough to break the old and build the new, because what Nigeria needs is not just another election. What it needs is consistency, courage, and continuity.
People of the Fountain,